Hey Tim, just want to give you an overview of your Bonanza and where some of the switches and items are laid out. I'm in the hangar right now, so it's a little bit dark, but I'm going to start on the right side of the panel. And over here, you got a vacuum gauge for the few instruments that are still vacuum powered. Both of your tip transfer pumps are right here. You can see there's a left pump and a right pump, and the breaker above, and you can activate those independently. Below that, you've got the audio panel, which has a few breakers that we had installed for various items, as well as a music switch down below next to the both of the jacks down there. So you can plug in your music, or you can pipe it in via that switch, which actually will pull music in from this 396 right here. That's where the XM weather and the radio comes from. Below the audio panel is just your basic narco transponder analog. And then below that, you have the bay with all of your some more breakers, but your avionics master and your regular master and your alternator switch are located down here, and I just keep the key in there for handy starting. Below that, you do have some additional breakers for some items down here, and then as we move over, you have the piano key style switches down here. These from right to left are your lights. So you have landing lights, nav lights, beacon, and strobe lights. And then as I move over to the radios, you have your audio panel up top, your basically your selector for nav 1 or com 1, com 2, all the different various inputs, nav 1, com 1, nav 1, com 2, nav 2, and then your DME is down here. Your avionics master switch is located right there. You can see what I'm shining it on right there. That switch right there is your avionics master. And then you got RPM, fuel pressure, manifold pressure. This is your KLN90B right here, this GPS. Above that is your intercom, volume and squelch. And then next to that is your shade and fuel flow and fuel totalizer. On the dual yoke, you have aileron trim, and then below that you have the verniered power mixture and propeller controls, as well as your ignition, and then your trim is also located down there below with your cowl flaps. You have several fuel gauges over here on this side. You got an aux fuel, a main fuel, and then you have actually your ampere meter for the alternator. And then over on this side you have some more engine instruments, oil pressure, oil temperature, and then you have cylinder head temperature and a separate gauge down here. As you move over, that's the one switch that we talked about. I just leave it in the heading mode when I'm navigating via heading. And when I'm using the Aspen, I use this switch down here. That's actually the master for the Aspen, so you would turn that on after you turned on the avionics master. Below the Aspen is a switch to activate the standby vacuum pump, and then you can see that you have your attitude indicator, airspeed here, as well as backup altimeter and backup VSI. All that information is displayed on the Aspen when it's on. And then on the yaw dampener panel and autopilot panel, you have the yaw dampener down below. You have a auto on and off switch, a trim, and then you have a GPS approach mode, and then a GPS course light, altitude hold button, which is right there. You just push that, and then some lighting switches here for how dim or bright you want these to light up. And then your autopilot, you would simply just activate both of those switches simultaneously like this, and that would turn the airplane into heading mode. You have headphone jacks over here, nav 1 or 2 for the DME, and then the EG6 probe EGT is right there, and you can select what you want to look at. That's kind of the basics. Also, there's a trim indicator right underneath there. I don't know if you can see that or not. And you'll use that for takeoff. And then you have some vents on either side of the power controls here. You can select cabin air with those.